This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. A huge day for the auto industry is coming this Saturday. Automakers are very worried about President Trump's threat to slap an additional 25% tariff on imported vehicles on February 1st. While Trump has threatened an additional 25% tariff on vehicles from Canada and Mexico, Moody's and S&P expect European imports to be hit with a 10% tariff on top of the 2.5% they pay now. Moody's says Stellantis would see its profits fall by 15% since 40% of the vehicles it sells in the U.S. are made in Mexico and Canada. It says the Volkswagen Group, including Audi and Porsche, would see a 5 to 10% drop in profits on vehicles it imports from Europe and a 15% drop on the ones it imports from Mexico. The tariffs would impact the bottom line of all automakers, but Moody's says that Stellantis, Volkswagen, and Volvo would be hit the hardest. The U.S. imports about $40 billion a year of cars and parts from Europe, while Europe imports about $9 billion of cars and parts from the U.S. But even though automakers are deeply worried about those tariffs, they also welcome the Trump administration reconsidering a rule that requires all new vehicles to have advanced automatic emergency braking systems by 2029. Last year, NHTSA finalized the mandate, which requires vehicles to be able to stop and avoid hitting a vehicle in front of them at speeds up to 62 miles an hour. But the Alliance of Automotive Innovation, a group that represents most major automakers in the U.S., filed a lawsuit to block the requirement because it says it's, quote, practically impossible with available technology. Now NHTSA says it is reviewing the rule and will make a final decision in March. The agency previously said the mandate will save 360 lives and prevent 24,000 injuries a year. While automakers are worried about Trump's tariffs, car dealers in the U.S. are pretty optimistic about 2025. According to Automotive News' 2025 Dealer Outlook survey, 57% of dealers say they expect their overall business performance to be better or much better than last year, and the same number expects new and used car sales to be better than 2024. The number one concern for dealers this year is vehicle affordability, followed by lower profit margins and economic uncertainty. Most of the dealers said that the best opportunity for profit growth in 2025 is in used car sales and in services. Mitsubishi will launch its first fully electric vehicle in the U.S. next year. The model will be based on Nissan's CMF EV platform, the same as the Ariya, and it's expected to be a small crossover and have similar styling to the Nissan Leaf replacement, which launches at the end of this year. But Automotive News reports that Mitsubishi dealers are concerned that the new EV won't be able to make up the volume for the loss of the Mirage, which went out of production at the end of last year. The Mirage was Mitsubishi's second best-selling model in the U.S. in 2024 and accounted for 28% of its total sales.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
People say that paint color is an important factor when buying a new car, but price and availability are bigger, and buyers can typically get a better deal on a vehicle that's already on the lot, which is likely to be some shade of black, white, or silver. However, JLR's Bespoke painting program, which has hundreds of color options, has seen its number of clients more than double since 2022. So, it's investing £65 million, or over $81 million, to upgrade its paint facilities in the UK and to build a new painting area in Slovakia. While that's a lot to invest, JLR says that a bespoke commission, which likely includes other upgrades besides paint, adds an average of £70,000 or over $87,000 to the price of a vehicle. And with the upgraded facilities, it will also be able to paint 17,000 more vehicles a year, as well as reduce its environmental impact with newer, more efficient equipment. Right now, paint shops account for 80% of all operational emissions produced by JLR globally. Audi is showing off its idea for an electric off-roader with a modified version of the all-electric Q6 e-tron. Ride height has been increased over 6 inches or 160 millimeters, thanks in part to portal axles, which increase torque at each wheel by 50% and allows the vehicle to climb 45-degree grades. And in combination with fat, studded off-road tires, vehicle width has increased nearly 10 inches or 250 millimeters. The concept is finished off with plenty of lighting to illuminate any trail. And it would be fun to see a head-to-head off-road competition with this vehicle and Genesis's GV60 mountain intervention concept vehicle. Like others before it, Genesis replaced each wheel and tire with their own tank-like track system, so it won't have a top speed quite as fast as the Audi, but it would be exceptional in slippery conditions. Even though BYD sells a lot of cheap cars, it sells so many of them that it generated more revenue in China last year than any other automaker. According to a study from Sina Finance, the average transaction price for BYD was $16,700, but it generated $58 billion in sales. Mercedes-Benz was in second place, even though it sells far fewer vehicles. But their average transaction price was $59,500, which generated over $42 billion in revenue. Volkswagen was in third place, with transaction prices averaging $19,700 and total revenue of almost $42 billion. Toyota has an average of $23,300 per car and over $36 billion in revenue. BMW averaged almost $47,000 per car with total revenue of nearly $33 billion. And rounding out the list is Tesla in sixth place with an average of $33,800 and total revenue of $22 billion. The Maextro S800, a large luxury sedan from Huawei and JAC, is targeting its closest competitor with a clever new ad. Car News China shows the S800 crab walking around a line of S-Class Maybachs, a nod to the car's four-wheel steering. While the Maybach also has four-wheel steering, the S800 can turn its rear wheels up to 16 degrees, 6 degrees more than the Maybach. The Maextro goes on sale soon in China and also undercuts the price of the Maybach by about 40 grand. And if you're wondering, the crab-walking GMC Hummer EV turns its rear wheels up to 10 degrees, the same as the Maybach. The 2025 racing season got off to a roaring start at the Rolex 24-hour race at Daytona. 61 cars entered the race, representing 12 different brands, which were driven by 230 drivers from 31 countries and 6 continents. There are 4 categories of cars, from the powerful hybrid electric GTD prototypes to GT3 versions of the cars you can buy in the showroom. At the end of the 24 hours, Porsche Penske took the overall honors, while the Ford Multimatic Mustang took the GTD Pro win and an AWA Corvette won the GTD class. The LMP2 class, which features cars all made by French constructor Oreca, was won by Tower Motorsports. It's impressive how popular long-distance sports car racing has become, and surprising to see the kind of participation it's generated from so many different automakers. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Intrepid Control Systems. Over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.